welcome to the Sheep's Garden. I'm Elizabeth and I'm here in my yarn store, and I thought I would share, I recently purchased these ChiaoGoo little mini knitting needles. Not for my store, I bought these for my own personal use just because I wanted to try them out. The reason I bought them actually was because I do have in my store this sock yarn from Cabeza. And I thought since I had the yarn in the store, I would try and knit some socks. So this was my sock that I started to knit. And I started with double pointed needles. And you can actually see on the sock, I don't know if I can show it up close, but you can actually see on the sock where the join was between the needles. So I was doing okay with that, but didn't feel that comfortable. So looking on the internet, I found the magic loop. So I tried doing magic loop and I really liked that. I like the magic loop. So I started doing magic loop from down here. And then I continued looking on the internet and I saw these tiny little mini needles that are for knitting in the round when you're doing a sock. So I thought, wow, how cool is that? So I looked around and we can get products from Amazon, but they're usually quite expensive with the customs and the shipping. And because I'd heard some problems with imitations or fakes of ChiaoGoo needles, I thought I was best buying from a store here in Chile. So I bought these and I have been practicing and experimenting before I do the second sock because I wanted to see if I actually liked them and if I could use them. So I thought I would share some of my tips and things that I've learned on the way using these new needles. So I'm going to put the camera in the other direction so you can see what these have in them. So here is my ChiaoGoo mini needles. This is the little pouch that it comes in. There's a little clasp here so you can hook it onto your project bag. It's very tiny, a lot smaller than it looks in the videos. I was quite surprised when I got it. I was, oh my goodness, what have I bought? It's so tiny, how can this be a set of needles? Especially when you look at the little pouch that the needles are in. This is the little pouch that the needles come in. Those are your set of needles. You've got 5 of each size. So you can see the different sizes. So they're coming there, and if we take this one out and this one, and you can see it with the little ruler you get. So you can see it's, I don't know if that's focusing very well. You can see they are about 5 centimeters and 7 centimeters, or 2 inches and 3 inches, the two different lengths that you get. This is the little plastic, which everyone says is very cheap, the little plastic needle gauge. But it works, it's light, so it's okay. So those are the tiny little needles. Put those back in. You have to be careful putting them in because there's like a little pocket there behind. And if you're not careful, you slide the needles into there and they'll fall around. So those are the needles. But what I wanted to share was where I keep all the rest of the bits, because the needles are tiny and all the other bits are even smaller. So in this front pocket is where I keep this, along with the end stoppers, because those are quite big, not as easy to lose them. So I put those in there at the front pocket. And the cables, I have the cables here just loose like that, because the cables and all the other bits, they came in plastic bags. You have a bigger bag for the cables and a little bag for all the other tiny things, which is okay because you can actually see what's in the bag, but they were starting to break and I knew they wouldn't last long, and I still found it difficult finding the tiny little pieces. So the cables I took out and I store the cables. I found it's easier if I put the cables in that way, because then when I'm zipping and unzipping, they don't pop out. When I had them the other way around, they would pop out. So those are you get three cables, 1, 2, and the third one's there on my knitting. And then the other tiny little pieces, I made a little book for, a little fabric book. And I just knit this up, or sorry, not it, I just sewed this up quickly. It's just 2 pieces of fabric, like a rectangle, and a piece of felt in the middle. So when you open it up, you have the piece of felt as a little book, and there I have the T-pins. You have 4 T-pins that come with the set. I have little ribbons on them so I don't lose them when they fall. So there are the T-pins, and when I open this up, here you can see I have my stitch markers on a safety pin, so I can take them off easily and be able to use them whenever I want them. And here on this safety pin I have the 2 cable connectors that come with the set, because these are very tiny, very tiny, and I was really worried about losing them if I was to drop them anywhere. So I put them on this safety pin. They just fits through the hole which you use for tightening, and I keep them like that. And the safety pin, I said I just put the safety pin in this little felt page in this little book like that, and I can keep these also in here, and it keeps them safe with the fabric like that. There we go. And there we have them. There are all the little tiny pieces that come with the kit in a nice little box, or not box, little book. So don't need the plastic bags. So I can just tuck that in there, tuck in my cables, and then tuck in my needles, and it all stays nice and compact. There we go, all ready to go, all ready to knit, and I'm enjoying using them. I've heard people say that they feel that their hands kind of cramp up. I'm guessing that I must knit more with the tips of my fingers, so I'm not having a problem using these, and I'm enjoying them. So that's how I store my ChiaoGoo's minis in their little bag. I'd love to hear if anyone else has any tips and tricks for how they keep those tiny little pieces from disappearing and keep them safe. So please leave a comment below if you have any other ideas of how you can how you like to keep your stuff, your needles. Ciao!